So, welcome back to another Tuesday Talk. And today we're going to talk about the all or nothing mentality of society that we're in. I was really thinking about it, and I've really been focusing on, again, myself and figuring out why are things this way with me? Why do I think this way? And what do I see around me that may affect certain thoughts that I have? And the all or nothing mentality is we either want all good things to happen to us, or if one little thing bad happened to us, all these good things need to happen to us, or nothing bad can happen to us or be in our way. And and who or how is going to relieve the pain that we just felt. And that's what I mean by all or nothing. There's two things that I'm realizing, and through more research and reading that I do, uh, I've heard this only twice. And it's as of late. And it said there's two constants. Change is going to be a constant, and I'm adding, to me, with that change, is the positive or negative effect that you allow that change to happen on you. To me in life, those are the two constants you're going to see. That change is always going to happen, and there's going to be either a positive or negative effect of how you allow that change to affect you. And there's a couple of things that we look at that deals with that positive or negative effect or the change itself. So the first thing is just talking about fight or flight. Are you a person who's normally a fighter, or are you a person that's normally a flighter, and you leave the situation? When change happens, do you stay and get in the thick of things, or do you look at your next exit and where you can go? And we have to look at the types of change that there are. So family dynamics play a role in that. Your personal life plays a role in that. If it's a business, that plays a role in it. So in family situations, you could be a fleer. You could be like, you know what? It happens. It's my family. It's time for me to go. Or you may take a step back. That's still fleeing. Like, you don't want to be in the thick of it. You just look from afar and guess things that way. But in business perspective, guess what? You may be like, I'm hunkering down. This is it. And the reason I started paying attention to this more is when I transferred to a different locale. I had my first new boss for a good amount of time. He said, Anthony, are you going to die on this hill today? Is this the hill that you're choosing to die on? And he said it to me for a couple of times, and I was brushing it off, and I really wasn't understanding the magnitude of the statement. Like, what are you talking about? Like, down the hill, who cares? In other words, it was a different way of telling me to choose my battles. And as a manager, every time a situation arose that I didn't agree with, it didn't need me to put my stamp on that situation all the time. Don't pick those battles with my teammates. Don't pick those battles with my associates. Don't pick that battle with my upline. If so, you're going to be in fight mode a whole lot of the time, and you won't be able to get things done. Because that's what people don't understand. When you're in that fight mode, your principles go out the door, your sense of self goes out the door. If you stay in that mode for a long period of time, and you kind of lose your day. If you have an itinerary for the day and you didn't plan on staying in this situation and staying in that fight, then guess what? Now the rest of your itinerary is messed up. And in business, you can't afford for that, because you have other things that you're looking at for the next day, or that you're picking up tasks from the previous day that you didn't finish. So now you've allowed this situation or situations on multiple different levels to affect you on a consistent daily basis. Remember, the two things that are going to happen in life is change is going to happen, and the positive or negative effect you allow it to have on you, not other people. Again, it's what you allow it to have. So the fight or flight is a big aspect of it. The other thing I look at is once we have the fight or flight, you really have to think about before that, the reaction. Your initial reaction also delays now your response. Sometimes you have people who are the awe people, like they just sit in awe of the situation, and you notice you're talking to them, and they're just like, I can't believe you said that to me. And they sit and wonder for like an hour, or like exaggerating, 2 or 3 minutes. But again, in business, hey, this is what happened. This is what I'm getting ready to do. Please let me know if you agree or disagree, because now I'm already making my decision. I'm already moving. So you sitting in that awe moment really kills everything. Another person is the contemplator. They contemplate and they run through different scenarios out loud, and you're waiting on that decision, and they give you like 6 different ways you can make a decision. And lastly, it's the person who works in haste. And a lot of times, early on, that was me. I worked in haste. So sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad, because I didn't think of anything. I thought of the first thing that came to my head, and I moved. Well, now, figuratively speaking, I have over 90 people that are moving with me with that same decision that one person just made. So did I need to sit and think for a little while longer? Did I need to ask my team around me more their perspective? Because as soon as you make that decision, it affected so many people around me, because I have a positive or negative impact on those people. Because remember, the decision that I'm making, they're going to react off of, they're going to fight or flight from, and they're going to choose to let the change that I gave them have a positive or negative effect. And in an all or nothing society, right now, to me, in this day and age and what we're dealing with, a lot of the times I see we are letting change give us a negative effect because we're not choosing. We've already decided. And in this time period of a pandemic, in this time period of looking for social justice on multiple different platforms and levels, change is going to happen and change is going to come. The biggest thing to make sure of is how you will let it affect you. And I don't want us as a community, as a village, as a nation to sit and say, this is automatically going to be negative. I had a meeting recently with one of my teams and I said, hey, I really want you to come into this with an open mind, as am I, and I want to hear your feedback. And I was very blunt and abrupt in the information that I gave, because all 3 levels were talking about each other away from each other, but no one was bringing it to the carpet. So I brought the information to the carpet. I asked them, what can we do differently about it? Because when I realized, and I was talking about the meeting, and my manager said, hey, as a team, I want to have a meeting. Auntie, I want you present. I said, that's great. They were already saying that it was going to be a negative meeting. So they already took the change and processed it, digested, and said, it's going to be negative. It's not going to be the outcome. Well, now, as a manager, and even more importantly, as a leader, how do I approach that individual and talk to that individual to make sure that we understand change is necessary, change is constant, and how you approach the change is completely up to you. You don't know any of the criteria of the meeting, you don't know the mindset of the person giving the meeting, and you don't know the mindsets of the people around you that are going to be in the meeting. But you have chosen to say what the meeting is going to be for you. And I think as someone who gives a meeting, I used to look at the collective whole, a lot of times giving research off of one person. But we have to remember there's so many other factors and so many other people around that it doesn't necessarily mean that they all felt or impacted the same way. And again, it's either positive or negative. So you have to remember that. But one thing is for sure is that there is an atmosphere when you're giving meetings or when you're around a group of people, and atmosphere is so important and plays a vital part in how everyone starts and believes something is going to happen. So coming in neutrally is so important, because if not, you can have a drastic change in events, be it from negative to positive or from positive to negative. And that leads me into the last part. So when we look about positive or negative effects, the most important thing is to understand the consistency of self. And I've heard this a lot from big leaders, from Steve Jobs to Bill Gates to Gandhi, and even watching patterns of big athletes. I'll give you one as Tiger Woods. When Tiger Woods would give you that pump of the fist, you knew it was pretty much the end. That was the win. But he wasn't jumping up and down. It wasn't a lot of emotion. He was still in game mode. He was still pushing forward, but you knew that it was time to go in for the kill. That's what the pump was. Kobe with the Mamba mentality. When he sits up there and he crouched down low and he'd pump his fist and he'd grit and bite his lower lip, you knew what that meant. You knew he was coming. So the reason why I say neutrality through things is because we tend to give celebration early or excessively, or we tend to give something negativity too long, which leads to depression for long periods of time, because you just sit and you sulk in that obstacle, or you sulk in that challenge, or you sulk from that change that happened. And we don't think of looking at the situation for what it is and neutrally trying to see the positive or negative change that came from it, and now what we can do to get through it. And that's what I challenge you today, is to approach things in a neutral way and don't over celebrate and don't overreact. Because we just said we know that change is going to come, which builds big wins from small wins, and it builds big changes and big thoughts from small thoughts. And what's so important is to see how you can get through it through your reaction, and how it leaves you through the neutrality of the situation. It's okay to celebrate. It's okay to be frustrated. But guess what? You have to remember we're not going to stay there long, because we have to move forward with our reaction. We have to move forward with our approach. So remember, there's 3 things that play a part in it: the fight or flight, the reaction, and the neutrality of how you celebrate or how you think and contemplate moving forward. I appreciate your time. Again, these are just my thoughts and what I think of. Please tune in, share this on your multiple platforms that you have: Facebook, Instagram. You can find me on Instagram, True Visionary XIV. You can find me on Snapchat, True Visionary XIV. Please comment in YouTube and let me know what you think, or send me a Facebook comment. Thank you for the comments that I have gotten, or for the feedback that I am getting. Any typos, let me know too, or any things that you catch. Thanks again. Have a good week.